Nick Wright once called Kobe the 8th best player in NBA history. And he was being complimentary. His definition of GOAT is which player is quote, best at basketball in NBA history. In other words, which player scores, assists, rebounds, is more efficient, and better defensively all around than any NBA player in NBA history. And of course, for him, the player at the top of that list is LeBron James. So, first of all, I think that's an absurd metric, but that's subject for another video. But the point is, what that metric doesn't take into account is intangibles. So let's accept his argument. Okay, let's just for argument's sake, let's just say I agree with him. Okay, for argument's sake, let's say Kobe Bryant is number 8. If I have the number 8 player in NBA history, and the number 8 player brings more out of his teammates than the 7 guys ahead of him, I'd rather have the number 8 player. In other words, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say I've got Charles Barkley in his prime. Charles Barkley is considered a top 15 player. Some people consider him top 10, top 15 player. Let's say I've got Charles Barkley in his prime. If in addition to winning the MVP in 1993, Charles Barkley can help Kevin Johnson to a borderline MVP level and elevate him from being an all-star to being a borderline MVP type player, I'm probably going to win the NBA championship in 1993. The Phoenix Suns are probably going to beat that Bulls team in 93. Of course, Kobe is not the number 8 player in NBA history. He's much higher than that. But what Kobe doesn't get credit for is the extent to which his teammates shined while playing with him. And so I'm just going to go down the list and talk about all the players that reached their full potential playing with Kobe Bryant. In the 2000 season, Shaquille O'Neal won the MVP. He was second team all defense, one of only 3 seasons wherein he was all defense. He averaged 29 points per game and 13 rebounds. No player averaged even 26 and 13 until Kevin Love did it 13 years later. His value over replacement tied with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 1976 season for the highest for a center in league history. Shaq, unlike Kareem in 76, won the NBA championship in the year 2000. Now, considering that rebounding stats were not collected during the 60s, it's fair to say that Shaq's 2000 season is among the greatest seasons ever by a center, and certainly of the three-point era, and perhaps ever. Smush Parker in 2006 started 82 games, averaged 11.5 points per game on 44% shooting, both career highs. 2 years prior, he had been cut from the league. Smush Parker and Chris Mim, it's interesting to note, played on the Cleveland Cavaliers team that was so bad that it ended up with the number one pick. That number one pick in 2004 ended up being LeBron James. Not only was he on that team, he got cut from that team. He got cut from the worst team in the league. So to go from that to being a productive player, like I said, 11 points per game. He also finished in the top 20 in steals a couple years with the Lakers. So this is an illustration of the point about Kobe bringing the best out in his teammates. Lamar Odom won League Sixth Man of the Year in 2011. Actually, now Odom had slightly better scoring and assist seasons with the Clippers, but his best shooting seasons were with the Lakers by far. The 6 highest effective field goal percentage seasons of his career were playing with Kobe and the Lakers, and his 2 best rebounding seasons were with Kobe. Dwight Howard. Now, Howard would definitely be an exception to this generalization. It is interesting to note that the last time Howard led the league in rebounding was playing with Kobe. Pau Gasol led the league in offensive rating in 2009. His best offensive rebounding season was with the Lakers in 2010. Gasol's best shooting seasons were with the Lakers, shooting significantly better than he did in Memphis or during his 2 All-Star seasons in Chicago. He was second-team All-NBA in a season wherein only one legit big man, Dwight Howard, was on the first team. Gasol was generally considered to be among the elite players in the league at that time. Now, while Gasol has been considered a very good player, he wasn't considered among the very best in the league until he played with Kobe, and he wasn't. And he hasn't been subsequent to playing with Kobe as well. Sasha Vujacic, a career 39% shooter, spent his prime NBA years at the age of 27 and 28 playing overseas. Vujacic clearly benefited from playing with Kobe. In the 2008 finals, Vujacic averaged 8.8 points a game on 45% shooting and 43% from 3 points. And he finished 8th in the league in 3-point shooting percentage. Vujacic also clinched the 2010 finals with 2 clutch free throws. Robert Horry, his best shooting seasons in terms of field goal percentages in 1998 with the Lakers playing with Kobe. Also 3-point percentages. Also in 1999 playing with Kobe and the Lakers. Kwame Brown, a career 49% shooter from the center position. Brown shot 59% in 2007. A number that would have placed him 4th in the league had he had enough field goal attempts to qualify. He also finished 12th in rebounding percentage in the year 2006. Chucky Adkins, pretty much a role player his whole career. Adkins started all 82 games for the only time in his career while playing with Kobe in 2004. And with the Lakers, he had career highs, not only in minutes, but also in points and effective field goal percentage. Adkins is an interesting case because this is an example of a player that played his best basketball with Kobe and without Phil Jackson. Eddie Jones was the starting 2 guard for the Lakers before he was traded to the Charlotte Hornets to make room for Kobe, actually. Kobe, his natural position was the 2 guard. But in 1998, Jones was one of the 4 All-Stars the Lakers had, That year was Jones' highest effective field goal percentage season of his career. Nick Van Exel's second best effective field goal percentage was in the same year, in 1998. Jordan Farmar played in a career-high 82 games in 2008 and had an effective field goal percentage of .552%. It was the second best effective field goal percentage of his career, but he played in twice as many games. Trevor Ariza had a .605 effective field goal percentage in the 2009 playoffs, good for third among all non-centers that played at least 6 games in 14 minutes. He averaged 11.5 points per game, a career high at the time. The next season, Ariza signed a $33 million contract with the Houston Rockets. Vladimir Radmanovic was a career 8 points per game scorer, played 12 seasons in the NBA. Radmanovic enjoyed career highs playing with the Lakers in effective field goal percentage and field goal percentage. Caron Butler only played with the Lakers one season, and it was his third in the league. He would go on to become a 2-time All-Star and 20-point-per-game scorer. Butler's improvement from year 2 to 3 was palpable. His field goal percentage would increase to .445% from .380. His rebounds, steals, points, turnovers, and free throws and three-point percentages all improved. Butler would go on to credit Bryant with helping him develop as a player.